So by day, she was formerly the program manager at Play Studio Asia, a fast-growing social game venture with over 25 million downloads and 1.3 million daily users. So previously, she was sales at Bloomberg, where she is spearheaded and organized its inaugural hedge fund forum in Hong Kong. A global citizen who has lived and worked in Hong Kong, Singapore, and the United States, she is an avid traveler, health, and mindfulness enthusiast. She graduated from this University of Southern California with a bachelor's degree in business administration. So today she's gonna tell us a little more about time option, and we'll hear a little more about her story.
So good morning, everyone. So since this is pretty, so actually when Carl invited me to speak, I actually thought today was going to be all students. But I'm very happy to share my experience. So I think a lot of you guys are probably working and have a lot of experience too. So throughout the session, just feel free to ask any questions, and I'm here to help you and answer any questions and just to share my experience. So I think how it's going to go today, I'm just going to give like a really quick introduction of what time auction is. So before I start, can I just kind of get a hand? How many of you have heard of time auction?
Me?
All right, great. So it's awesome. So actually, how Cal got involved is because he was volunteering as a photographer for our event. I'm gonna share like maybe like just 5-10 minutes what it does, and then it's just gonna be like a casual chat, and just feel free to ask any questions. I want to make this more interactive so everyone's a little bit more pumped up in the morning as well. So before I start, I actually want to show you a video which kind of give you a glimpse of what the event is actually, what our event actually is. Just take the start again.
Sure.
So like the guy that you saw, his name is Jonathan Zeman. So I'm sure you guys all heard of like Alan Zeman and Quite Fong. So this is his son. You can see from our meetings are normally very casual and very intimate, and that snippet that we pick up is actually something that's more personal and more intimate. Like what's something that we don't know about him. So basically, you can see like the vibe and how it generally is. So let me kind of just go back one step just to tell you what time auction is. Yeah, can you just go to the slides? Yeah, sure. Yeah, and then
You can just click it if you want.
Alright, so basically, Time Auction, we're actually a registered charity. You can search for us online at www.timeauction.org, and we are a platform that connects you with inspiring mentors while encouraging volunteerism. So you're probably wondering, how does this work? And it's actually really, really simple. So what we do is, reach out to mentors or, distinguished figures, in Hong Kong, and we invite them to donate an hour of their time to be a mentor. After which, we put their profile onto the platform, and anyone can apply to meet with them as long as you have volunteered 10 hours. So in one meeting, by volunteering 1 hour, this mentor is actually indirectly contributing about 150 hours to a charity, to volunteering, because everyone else who have attended would have volunteered at least 10 hours. So since we started, which is about 4 years ago, we have since raised about 16,000 volunteer hours, and below are kind of some of the beneficiary charities that our volunteers help out with. So this is, I'm just showing you a little bit more pictures and how the format is. So this is where we actually met with Dominic Allen. He was the MD of Google Hong Kong. So we can see we actually do like an office visit. The meetings are very small, maximum up to 15 people. So we ensure that everyone has a chance to actually speak and ask questions as well. This is actually with an entrepreneur in Hong Kong, and one of the kids, he said, he told us that, he really felt like every minute he volunteered was worth so much more. And he was actually a high school student, and actually after this meeting, he kept in touch with the entrepreneur, and he went off to, start his own side business. So, we took a survey from all our participants, and what we actually found was really interesting was that 80% of the people who come to attend actually was seeking life advice. So it wasn't so per se as career advice, and 40% of these people actually kept in touch with the mentor, whether through LinkedIn or like an email or like a follow-up coffee, etc. And this is where this was actually one of our first meeting where we met with the founder of 9gag. So a lot of boys actually attended the event. They were all like super excited to meet with like their idol. And here are just some examples of previous mentors that we have featured on our platform, and quite a number of them will actually be returning to our platform again. So you can see we actually try to cover a wide array of professionals, such as we have Gary Liu, who's the CEO of SCMP, or Alan Zeman, or maybe Anthony Leung, who is like CEO of the Nanfeng Group and used to be serving on the Hong Kong government, as well as like chefs and entrepreneurs. So we actually try to invite people from very diverse background and with diverse career experience, because what we really want to do is to provide an opportunity for anyone for you to meet with the top professionals or the successful people in their respective fields. So that's about it actually. So basically, our idea is actually really simple, and it's a very easy concept. Yeah. So
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
So maybe I'm a little confused. So
Yeah.
basically, what you do is you get CEOs volunteering to mentor other people. Is that what you're doing?
Yes. So we ask them to volunteer 1 hour of the time to have lunch and dinner with about 15 students or young professionals.
Okay, great.
What do the students have to do to get 10 hours of volunteer work before they can?
So it's actually up to them. So we actually don't limit, which charity that
but you have. So any charity, you log 10 hours and then.
Yes. So actually, if you register on our platform, once you create an account, there's one after you have applied for the respective meetings. There's a section for you to actually log your volunteer hours, and then after which we'll do the verifying on our back end. So maybe I will leave it to Cal, because I think Cal has been to our meeting a couple of times. He's quite familiar with the team and how we run. I think he'll be able to ask more questions, and feel free to just ask me any questions.
Should we sit
Yeah,
here?
okay.
Maybe we can have a little chat.
Yeah. I'm actually curious, like, what were you guys hoping to, I don't
Get
know.
out of this
Yeah.
meeting, I guess.
So then I'll be able to maybe to help
And
out
then
and
maybe I
address
can ask
it.
questions along that direction too. Have any expectation or you want to know? So maybe I share my experience with
Yeah.
time auction first. So I've been to 3 events for now.
Yeah.
So I have the one with Roseanne Lee, which is an artist, a sculptress, and doing like I've only been to Yangtong, David Zhang, MTR station. She has artwork here, so she was doing the art exhibition in HKUSD, and then she was hosting a few students, which is the volunteers there, and it was very interesting to see that actually time auction do cover a variety of people or mentors. So they come from art to commercial, even to some of the even chefs. So that was one experience that I had. It was the first one. And then after that, I was with Moyi, and then last Saturday we went with Kevin, which is Make a Wish. I don't know if you have the Make-A-Wish Foundation, which is a foundation that what they do is they will help kids to have terminal illness to make a wish and make the wish come true. So if they make a wish, they will find a way to make that wish come true for them. So that's the foundation of that.
I didn't know Bailey is in
It's actually the chairman Kevin Lau is they are
Yeah,
in
so
Hong Kong.
I
the
mean,
base in Hong Kong.
Yeah, I think they're headquartered in
in the States, but they have
but
a
they
base
have
in
yeah
Hong
they
Kong.
have a Hong Kong organization.
So, yeah, Kevin himself has been involved for like over 20 years. With
Yeah.
So do you limit what organization, what charity that we do the 10 hours with?
No, we don't.
Okay.
Yeah.
I actually asked him before. It's like, hey, I've been working in the church or like as volunteer for a long time, like over the past like 14 or 17 years. Like, can I lock in some hours to do that? And they're open to the idea of that because they will do verification probably with either your bishop or they might be going with the area office. So they do that. They will help people to help with that.
So do you have a mission statement for Time Option?
Yeah, it's actually for us to encourage. I think what for Time Auction is about growing and giving. So at the core, that's what we believe in. As individuals, I think we believe that. I think when me and my partner we found this. I think both of us we really like to meet. We are very interested in like entrepreneur, and we read a lot of autobiographies, and we really like to like improve ourselves. So I think fundamentally that's one part of it, right? As the students or as the volunteers who attend, they're learning from the experience of the mentors, and also for the mentors, a lot of times they actually do want to learn from the younger people and kind of understand like their mindset. And the other part is like just giving back. I think each of us. As a volunteer, you're giving back to the society, and as for the mentors, they're also giving back to the students. So for us, it's about growing and giving.
So one of the reasons why I invited them because it really fits into what we do as BYU Management Society is that we actually one of our goals is to build more future leaders. So and like actually that is why I think we have a lot of common value, and I think they would be very interested in hearing you. So how did you get the idea of doing such a interesting like lunch kind of thing? Did you get that from like because it looks similar to what Warren Buffett kind of did was like lunch with Warren Buffett, and he would put up bids for people to bid for a time with him. So is it kind of similar idea that came from?
Yeah, well, I guess I'll just give you like the really like honest answer. So like when we started this about 4 years ago, both me and my partner Fion, we were both working in corporate. I think we just graduated back then about like 3-4 years, and we were working like she was in banking and I was working in Bloomberg. It's a very good company, but every day we kind of just started doing the same thing. And during that point of time, I think we just started questioning, and a lot of my friends at that point they were like, "Oh, is this really what I want to do for the rest of my life?" I think it's kind of a very common question young people go through nowadays. So we started attending a lot of like the startup events, and then one day it was just one of those after the events, and it was actually my partner who brought up the idea to me. She was like, "Oh, I knew someone in the States who was doing something similar where they get a company to donate a product, and then you can volunteer hours to get exchange for it. But then instead of that, why not let's try to get people to volunteer their times." And at that point, for me, I was just like, "Oh, okay, I don't have to pay any money, so that's like I don't have to pay, and okay, why not just send in a few emails? It sounds like a pretty good idea. Like everything gets something out of it." And that's just how we started it. So we actually started it because we just wanted to do something, to try out something, and we thought it was a really good idea. And at the same time, we'll learn how to build a business, build a company, and as well maybe learn from people. And that's really how we started it. So when we first started, we were like, okay, you know what? Who are we gonna reach out to? And then we were like, okay, do you remember your friend's dad who owns this restaurant? And then like, oh, do you remember like your university alumni, someone who did this, And then we just wrote down like 5 names from 10 names. And like, okay, you know what? We're just gonna reach out to them. And then we just sent an email. But we did put in a little bit of effort to kind of like write a good email. And at that point of time, we didn't even have a website. But we just sent out an email, and I think we were super lucky. A lot of these people they're actually very generous with the time, and they say okay, and so that's how we kind of get forced into it, and that's how it go. And for the first 2.5 years, both of us was actually running it part-time, and then it was only about a year ago that my partner Fion went in full-time when we got some angel donor for a donation. And currently I'm still working in a startup, so time auction is something that I work on the side, and that's how we get started.
So was there any like, what would be the biggest, I would say, like uh, upset, or like biggest or the hardest challenge when you're going through this in the past 4 years to doing time auction? Like,
I think we have been I honestly think we've been very, very lucky. So there really wasn't any big challenge for us. Um, I know that's very cliche, but I think it's also because we kept everything very low cost. Like we don't have an office, so we do have certain board members, and we just sit in their office, and we only have two full time staff running it. So everything is very lean. Um, and I think we've gotten. I think maybe no, I won't say it's a challenge, but actually promoting and marketing it and getting more people to sign up is actually harder than you would expect. You would think that like, I have Alan Zeman, I have like all these big names, and people would just like flock into it. But actually, nowadays I realize I think with university students, they actually have a lot of opportunities. So sometimes you actually have to like, oh, why don't you attend it? This is like a really good event because they're actually very privileged in school. They have a lot of great programs for them. So sometimes there's actually too much choices, and whereas for adults, I guess it's difficult for them, to find maybe to do 10 volunteer hours within 2 months, because a lot of them maybe they have other commitments, their family, they have to travel a lot for work. So I think one of the hard part is actually promoting and getting a lot more people to sign up. But now that it's been about 4 years, I think we've gotten enough traction, and then now it's a lot better now.
So how do you get people to sign up?
yes, that was the question I was going to ask.
We do have people. We do like a lot of Facebook. We do like Facebook ad. There's a lot of word of mouth, and we actually reach out a lot to like charities and like schools organization directly. So in the beginning, there's a lot of hustling. So when we first started, we literally send like 100 emails to each school. We just search out like all the faculty and just to send an email and say like, hey, can you just help us promote?
If they don't have time to contribute to charity work, would you consider that they make a donation instead?
At the moment, we don't have that option currently. It's something that we actually am preparing for.
Yeah, maybe you should consider.
We have a lot of. We had a lot of that, and initially we weren't sure if we really want to do it, but then later on we found that it's actually a good idea to make a balance. So we are actually revamping our website right now, and that would be an option available in the future.
But then you get money, so what will you do with the money? You're a charity, right?
So if the money that we have will be to go back to funding the operational cost of the charity. Because even at the moment, we are still making a loss because we actually don't have any revenue.
So you should really consider that.
Yeah,
seriously.
what they do is they only charge a small fee for the event that happens, because it's just going
For
to
the
be
meal
dinner,
cost.
like meal cost or the venue cost. So that's all they're charging right now.
So what is the average of joining events right now
That's the cost.
for the participant?
250. And
That's
it covers
probably
the
just for the food and the venue.
So maybe the total actually contribution or sacrifice is the 200 250 plus 10 hours of volunteering, I would say.
So what do the two full-time people do it?
So like for example, like like reaching out to all like the mentors, verifying the volunteering hours, putting on a profile, all the marketing, and if you look at our Facebook, with all these videos that we see, we put it together. So, and even like we have about 2 events per week. So there's actually a lot of administrative work involved behind it.
There's actually a lot of events.
Yeah,
2
events
events
per
a
week.
month. So,
2 events a week.
Yeah.
so 8 total in a month.
But that always fill up or
Yeah, I think now we at least it's pretty. The size is pretty good.
At least
size
10
nowadays.
people, I think.
Yeah.
Most of the time that I've been there.
And who took the videos?
So we actually have volunteers like
me.
Cal.
I did some
We
of
have
them.
And the editing?
we do the editing.
They either have the full time or some students.
Yeah, so we have like a weekly newsletter. We have a Facebook page. So all these actually take a lot of people doing it.
I think it is okay. Go ahead.
Well, besides that, lunch or dinner session, what is what is the commitment from that mentor on top of that lunch or dinner? Do they need to be follow up? If they were to, if any of the attendees were to ask questions or wish clarification or coaching or direction.
Yeah, no. So there's no commitment required from the mentor. It's really
It's
up.
optional.
Yeah, it's up. I think it's up to you as a participant how you follow up with the mentor as well. So some of them actually kept in touch.
It's a good concept.
Yeah, you guys
After
should.
1 hour and you get like 100 something hours volunteer work.
Yeah. Because it's actually more effective of their time.
So if I'm a public figure, how do I become a mentor?
Oh, you can actually. So on our website, you can actually send us an email and say like if you want to. If you want to volunteer yourself to be a mentor. So we have had people reaching out to us before.
And then you can basically just show us the website, right? Because it's right on there. We can show it to you later. You can just go on the register on
Maybe you can show on
right now.
the website.
Yeah.
Are you guys like all interested in like? Are you guys like running like a non-profit or interested in getting to this space?
Well, I am helping with this society. It's basically an NGO.
Good.
It's a non-profit organization. So yeah, definitely. That's why I was hoping to pick your brain to give us some ideas of how we can run it better. So, okay. So, do you want to tell them the website, how to register on?
Yeah, basically. Why didn't you show them?
I haven't signed up yet.
Okay. So like if you just go on like top right, there's actually a button that says sign up.
Right here.
So you first have to sign up as an account, but if you just close that out,
Close to it.
yeah. So on the top there's like an auction tab.
Right there.
Yeah. And if you click on it, so we're actually revamping it right now, but basically once you click on it, you'll be able to see like the current auctions, and you can just scroll down slower, but
My bad.
and then you can kind of see which profile that interests you.
I've seen it online.
I was quite a Beijing Paralympics.
There's a lot of people.
And then just say, for example, you want to meet with this lady,
Maybe in
and
there.
just click on View Options. And then if you scroll down, you can actually see like a full profile, her bio, and then on the right you can actually
You can
then
apply.
see when the date the event is, and just click on Apply. Yeah. So then, and once you just log in, then you just need to fill in your name, and we ask about a couple questions. So it'd be like, oh, tell us about yourself, and like, why do you want to meet with this mentor particularly? Where we would then compile all these questions and application statement, and we'll send it to the speaker prior to the event.
So how do you make sure that somebody who applies isn't like a problem or or I guess how do you
How we make sure.
sure yeah.
So actually, during the application process, you have to put in like why you want to meet with this mentor, and you tell us a little bit about yourself and what questions you want to ask. So normally, then you can actually vet from the application statement whether
Right.
this person is sincere or if they're just trying to cause a problem.
Can we also suggest mentor list?
Yeah, of course.
I think we do have a list of people that we can suggest to you too, because today we have like multiple speakers, and then also we have people that are very successful in their
Yeah.
industry as well. So if you're interested, we can exchange the list to you, and then we can invite, see if they would be interested in doing anything with that. You guys have any other questions? If not, I'm gonna ask a little more. So when you say when you first started, it was like you, maybe I should go back there. Yeah, I'll be able to go back there. So when you first started, you said you worked a lot with other charities or work with schools. So what kind of approach would they be more welcome to this kind of activities, or more what you see to be more effective when you're working with them?
Well, actually, our partnership with the charities are pretty simple. We help them. So let's say they're recruiting for volunteers. We'll put their volunteering activities onto we have a weekly email. So then our volunteers can sign up for them. So it's more like a cross promotional partnership.
So like you put them on your weekly letter so that your participants can see it, and then they will put yours on there as well, kind of like a cross platform. Okay. So like also like you said there was about 2 years ago there was an angel donor that started giving donations. So how did that happen? Like what did you do to make that happen?
Actually, they approached us, so we did not even ask. It's gonna be sound odd, but we did not even ask for money, and it was actually one of our first mentor. His name is Aaron. So he used to be the ex CEO of Groupon Hong Kong, and now he's actually managing his own service suite. So he was actually one of the first mentor, and through and 2 years later down the road, we actually met again in an event, and then he's like, oh, so how are you guys doing now? And then we're telling him like, oh, we're in the process of like applying for charity status, and we've now grown a team into like 3 or 4 people. And he's like, oh, you know what, I'm actually really looking into starting a charity, or like he really wants to be involved in charity. And he felt like what we are doing, since he's an entrepreneur himself, really aligned with his goals. So he was actually very generous to donate us a certain small amount of money for us to get going.
So do you have a vision of how will time auction be in the future? How far do you think it will go? And
Yeah, so
how-
actually I think right now in Hong Kong, we have reached where we have like 2 events per week, and we're actually expanding internationally right now. So we actually gonna set up. We want to make it more like I think global brand, and for us, I think we'll be very happy. And when people hear time auction, and maybe when people think of TED, like share interesting idea, but similarly, when you think of time auction, it's about volunteering, and then it's about mentoring. So we want to keep. That's what we do at the call. And what we are doing right now is we want to bring it to Singapore, to Australia, to the States, to London. So we actually have volunteers helping us do research right now. And this year is where we're going to be focused on expanding.
That's exciting.
Yeah.
Questions that
Yeah.
I think it's really cool ideas that how about if because you already in Hong Kong,
Yeah.
but a lot of country we don't have this kind of system. If that's possible, if the Taiwan students they want to volunteer their time,
Yeah.
they also want to see the video or online, then get her to join.
Oh, you mean like a video conference
Yeah,
call, right?
Yeah, maybe it's just my idea. It help out because in Taiwan, we don't have this kind of system. We don't have mentor roles so fast. But maybe I donate my 10 hours, but I also can apply on our system to see the video.
Yeah, we actually thought about it.
Webinar.
We wanted maybe maybe when we have like a recording studio or something like that. Yeah, we thought about it for I won't say no, and I think it'd be pretty cool.
I think you can just go ahead and start a chapter.
Oh yeah.
I think if you Ross is gonna be out, but if you ask the BYU Humanist Society in the Taiwan, which is one of the strongest chapters in the whole Asia Pacific area, I think they could definitely help out to find mentors, and I think many of them would be willing to do volunteer hours, especially they all volunteer at the church. So it shouldn't be that hard to get us going, at least to get started 1 or 2 events in Taiwan. It should not be hard.
Are you guys all volunteering for like BYU as well?
Yeah.
Is everyone here?
No, we don't volunteer for BYU, but we volunteer for our church. So this is a church building, right? So this is the church.
Yeah, because you guys can actually, if you guys have existing volunteer hours, I think it's the best for you to actually sign up and attend one of our events. No matter what I say, it doesn't beat, like you just have to attend it for yourself, and then you can actually really experience it for yourself.
Just gonna make a comment here.
Yeah.
Maybe I need it first.
Yeah, just gonna make sorry. I'm just gonna make a comment here and just say, I think one of the great things about this is that a lot of times young people in Asia, they're so busy concentrating on studying, and it's all about studying, all about grades, and their families a lot of times don't concentrate on the extra stuff, like you should go volunteer, you should help, you should have charity. And I think one of the things that you're teaching this is you're helping to teach these young people about service and volunteering, which I think is a phenomenal thing to be teaching here in Hong Kong. Was just kind of my comment.
Yeah, like remember what other brother Coker said yesterday?
Yeah.
About you're an Asian or an Asian, so
Right.
study is very important
Right.
to many of us. So go ahead.
Do you assign these voluntary hours?
No, so you can
So they just have to.
yeah.
And actually, I think students in Hong Kong, they have a lot of opportunity to meet whoever. I think the
They have a
middle
lot.
age group is the lost group. After they've been in the society for a while, not too happy with their job, they're lost.
Yeah.
They don't know where to go. And
Actually,
they don't know
we're-
who to ask. So
Yeah.
maybe you should think about setting up a sector, not just for
I think they do. Actually, this time option, just the last one with Make a Wish, I see a very huge variety. You have high school students, and you have people that have been in professional areas for quite a few years already. So they are open to
so
everybody.
it's quite a mixed age group.
Yes, it's a mixed age group. They're
Interesting.
not solely focused on people that are in high school. Actually, if you see some of the videos, if you go on their website and like it, and then you see their promotional videos, you can see the participants are very, very diverse in age, in gender, all kinds of things.
It's actually
It's,
more and more
school-
adults actually.
School children, they haven't been really defeated, They're so aggressive and full of energy.
Yeah.
But the way I see it is the middle-aged ones kind of feel defeated if they're not happy with the work and lost direction, don't know where to go. And I think those are the groups that maybe some people should focus on.
Yeah.
That's true.
Can I just do a comment on that, which I start to do that? I've worked over 20 years with volunteers, especially kids from high school. I've lived in a jurisdiction where you have 40 hours of volunteer work before you get a high school graduation diploma. And a lot of people are doing volunteer work just to pad their resume to enter certain faculty, like volunteer in a hospital, and which want to go into nursing school or medical school.
Right.
And unless the team or the youth is really focused and driven to volunteer, it just doesn't work. Because those 40 hours, they just do anything just to fulfill the 40 hours and someone sign off. Their heart and their mentality is not there. they're doing it because it's part of their graduation. The hospital is the same thing. They're going around pushing patients from one room to another room. It's like a chore, and they know that in order to do that, they'll say, "Oh, I spent a whole summer working at Mount Sinai Hospital, and when it comes to my med school application, it might be worth something."
Right.
And that is not a good motivation to get people to do volunteer work. To me, truthfully speaking, it's not volunteer work. It's not from your heart. You're actually working for a reward, and the reward is your graduation or admission to med school.
On that, I would say if they actually do a good job and
No,
create
there are
value,
some, but there
Yeah.
are a lot who are not.
Yeah.
So when you start like pushing youth into doing volunteer work that their heart is not into, you're causing more problem than doing good.
I think on that we just have to have standards or expectations to be known by these young people what they should expect to deliver, so that we can sign that little paper
Yeah.
that verify that they actually do it.
Mhm.
Because I do have people that want to, for example, in young professionals. I have other associations that I work with. It's like he's motivated because he wants to apply to a Ivy League school.
Yeah.
I think that's totally fine as long as what he does is creating value to the associations or to the mission statement or the mission that we have. As long as we are in that standard, that's totally fine. But then with that, those are his personal agenda, which I don't really have to step into. But if they're doing a good job, they're keeping the commitment and helping the society and the association at the same time, I think that would be great. So I think what time option does is that it's not just signing off. They're not signing off people that actually volunteer. It's an extra if you actually do those. So people are not interested in looking for advice. They don't even have to sign up for time option, right?
I'm not like putting. I'm just
Yeah,
mentioning the fact that
yeah.
pushing youth to do volunteer might be hard. I see what you're doing. I heard about this even from overseas, and it's something that I say, hey, this is a very, very good thing.
Yeah.
But having worked with volunteers, I just want to share my experience of working with youth volunteers, high school, the equivalent of Form 4, 5, 6, for over 20 years. Mandatory volunteer hour does not work.
If you give the option between donation and volunteer, then I will start calculating that. So maybe you want the volunteer work to be pushed. So
Yeah.
donation maybe is not too good. I mean, what kind of price would you, right? What do you set for 10 hours of volunteer work?
Minimum wages.
It would be $300 extra, right?
Yeah, we had that problem. That was one of the reasons why it
It's hard
was
to.
kind of delayed. Yeah.
So, any further questions?
Hope to see you guys at our event. I think you should totally check it out yourself.
I just have a question. So at the event, the people that sign up, they're able to ask any type of questions to the mentors, or is it certain questions or certain things? How does that go?
So before you apply, so when you're applying, we actually say what are the questions that you want to answer. What's the question that you want to ask? The bit is actually you can actually ask any question that you want. Of course, we have never had people who ask inappropriate questions. So you can ask really personal. A lot of time would be like, oh, what's your daily schedule like, or a lot of time, I think the jam in it is when the mentor actually go share on their own personal experience. So, for example, last week we met with Kevin, who is the chairman. So by a professional, he's a medical. He's in the medical profession. He owns his own clinic, but he's also like the chairman for Make-A-Wish Foundation. So actually, for the majority of the chat initially was a lot about like Make-A-Wish and what what he does and how he got into it. But later on to the end, he actually shared that he actually went, because I asked him a question. I asked him, a lot of people say they're very, so because the backstory, he's very actively involved in charity with youth, with children, with elderly, with women. And I asked him, a lot of people say they are passionate about children or about elderly, and they say they want to give back, but not many people actually action and do it. And through his action and through his profile, he's truly passionate in such a cause. So I asked him, what is it that influenced him that way? And he shared a very private story, and he told us that, to be honest, back then when he was younger, all he had was in his life was a checklist. He was in university, he was doing medical school, he was in Hong Kong, and he had all these 20 checklists that he wanted to get professionally, financially. That was what just driving him. And but about 10 years ago, he got into a really bad car accident where he almost lost his life. And he said that at that point, when he came back out of the coma, he realized he has achieved all his life goals, but so what? And so that was what really drove him. And now and that's when he actually started studying a lot of religion. So he's actually a Christian now, and he's very devoted to his church. And these are the private stories. A lot of time, these very high profile people would share, but then you would never get to hear it in a public setting or even read it on the news. So that's the intimacy that I'm sharing, that you can actually get from our meeting.
Yeah, because you won't see them when they're talking professionally, right? But you can hear the personal stories because it's much more casual service.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you so much, Suyi.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.